The Education Collaborative was envisioned by Ashesi University back in 2016 when in thinking about our scale strategy as a university, we asked ourselves, how quickly can we really bring about this African Renaissance if we're just doing it within ourselves at Ashesi University? So in thinking around this goal for transformation, we asked ourselves, could we rather bring along other institutions on the continent who buy into this similar vision to work together to really rapidly and quickly scale the outcomes for students on the continent. And so in achieving that, we've had to work through the differences in culture, the differences in context, the differences in types of institution, right? So those have really been our biggest challenges. And in tackling that, we've had to take a very organic approach to building the relationships and the connections that we've established in the Education Collaborative. So I would say the university leaders really have been our biggest ally, working through the kinks together, working through how to collaborate more efficiently and effectively, and helping us to determine where to prioritize resources and efforts to ensure the best outcomes. Also, a very notable ally has been the MasterCard Foundation in believing in this vision, in this initiative, and supporting through its resourcing for the next few years. In the last 3 years, we have been rolling out our 10-year strategy, ending in 2030. In doing that, we've really figured out how best to set up a regional hub, because the Education Collaborative is organized or implemented through regional hubs to drive further contextualization and relevance of the solutions and the sharing that happens. And in the last 3 years, one of the biggest successes is setting up these regional hubs. We set up East African Hub with about 10 institutions being the anchors in that region. And then we set up with the West Africa regional hubs with close to 15 higher education institutions really driving priorities in that region. So the future looks like institutions seamlessly working towards one goal for transformative higher education in Africa. And I think that's one of the biggest goals we are working towards in the Education Collaborative, to build a certain culture of trust such that institutions at any point feel like they can rely on each other to learn, to address challenges, and to make progress in giving quality education to the students that come through their systems and structures.
Thank you very much. Grace, can I take it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good day, everyone. On behalf of Covenant University and the Education Collaborative, I want to welcome you to this third webinar in the webinar series on grant writing. To welcome us and to give an introductory remark, I would like to invite the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, Professor Abiodun Adebayo. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Akinwumi. And Grace, I want to also welcome you. Eminent personalities here present today. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of Covenant University and the Education Collaborative in Ashesi University. Today's session is going to be a great one because we're going to be hearing and listening to one of the best researchers that African has ever had today. He's well published, and he's also a grant winner. He has won several grants. And talking about a very wonderful friend, Professor Obo. At a point, he was the highest publisher, I think, in the last 1 or 2 years in Scopus Cyber. as reported by Scopus Cyber, published by Elsevier. And so we are so blessed to have you here today, Professor Obo. Thank you for coming to facilitate with us today, or facilitate this special webinar in this series. I'd like to join all of our participants here present to please listen, please learn, please ask questions today, because there are several things that you do not know that will be coming to you today. And I'm trusting that today's session will add to your body of knowledge, not just understanding it alone or the information that will be passed, but working assiduously with the information that will be shared today in this webinar series. And please stay tuned and ensure that you maximize this wonderful opportunity that you have, because you may not have a second chance again. And thank you so much, HSC University. Thank you so much, Education Collaborative, for partnering with Covenant in doing all of this. And most especially the West African Hub driving this Education Collaborative research project. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone in this series, and I'd like to ask that you stay tuned and enjoy the rest of the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, Professor Abiodun Adebayo. If you have joined the two previous webinars that we had, you will agree with me that they were highly informative and insightful. The first one focused on refining and shaping research ideas into compelling grant proposal, while the second one focused on mastering the art of persuasive writing towards effective grant proposal. Today, we will be the title of this webinar is Navigating the Grant Application Process, Tips for Successful Submission, and it focuses on navigating grant application portal, understanding submission guidelines and strategies for maximizing the chances of success. And we have an outstanding scholar, as the Vice Chancellor has mentioned, who will take us through this session, and he will present for about 40 to 45 minutes, and we will now have an interactive section of questions and answers. If you have any question, you can actually type your question in the chat box, and when the time comes, persons who want to also ask their question will be given orally, will be given the opportunity to do. So I would like to read a brief citation of the speaker, Professor Ganiu Obo, before his presentation. Professor Ganiu Obo holds a Bachelor of Technology degree in biochemistry and master's and PhD degrees in applied biochemistry from the Federal University of Technology in Akure. He then proceeded to the Universidad Federal de Santa Maria in Brazil for his postdoctoral training in biochemical toxicology. He had his second postdoctoral training in food biochemistry and toxicology at Technische Universität Dresden in Germany. He has about 27 years research, teaching, and administrative experience. He has served in various administrative roles and most recently was the Director, Center for Research and Development at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. Professor Obo has won several awards. He received the following awards: Junior Associate of the Abdusalam International Center for Theoretical Physics, ICTP, in Trieste, Italy, from 1999 to 2006. Twice CNPq Postdoctoral Fellowship in Universidad Federal de Santa Maria, Brazil, from 2005 to 2006. Alexander von Humboldt Postdoctoral Fellowship in Technische University Dresden from 2007 to 2008, and Trier University of Applied Science from April to July 2018, both in Germany. Karl Twice Visiting Scholar at the Institute of Nutritional Science, Chinese Academy of Sciences, Shanghai, China in 2009. He has won several research grants from donor bodies such as African Academy of Sciences, the World Academy of Sciences, International Foundation of Sciences, Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, CNPq, and Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund in Nigeria. He was awarded the Best Researcher in 2009 and 2012, and the Best Inventor in 2018 at the Federal University of Technology, Akure, and has received a couple of other awards. He was a visiting scientist to the Department of Life Science, University of Trieste, Italy from 2003 to 2014, and the Department of Life and Environmental Science, Università Politecnica di Marche, Annonca in Italy in 2014 to 2016. In the ranking released by AD Scientific Index in 2021, he was ranked #1 researcher in Nigeria and #1 biochemist in Africa. In the aspect of human capacity development, he has trained several graduates, including 100 master's students and 36 PhD graduates, who are presently occupying academic positions in their various universities in Nigeria and abroad. He has attracted lots of research grants to his university, through which he has been able to establish 2 laboratories in his institution. These laboratories have continued to attract researchers from all over the country and all over the world. He's an Alexander von Humboldt Scholar and a fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Science and African Academy of Sciences. So join me as I welcome Professor Ganiu Obo for his presentation.
I want to thank the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University, Professor Abiodun Adebayo. He's a good friend, and we have the same mentor. So within the next 30 minutes, I will be telling you something I know about grantmanship, and I hope the little I will tell you, you will benefit, if not much, a little. So I'll be speaking on navigating the grant application process, tips for successful submission. Actually, when it comes to grantmanship, it's not just only research grants. You have diverse grants. You talk of conference attendance grants, conference organization grants, and all this stuff. But for this present talk, my emphasis will be on research grant attraction. So I'll be emphasizing on how to attract grants to carry out research. And for us to understand how to get grant to carry out research, the first thing we should understand is how to carry out research. And my first slide here, I will try to define research. And from my slide, I try to state that research is a systematic collection, analysis, and interpretation of data to answer certain questions or solve a problem. But from my observation over the years, most times we claim we are doing research, but in reality, we are not doing research. What we are just doing is data collection. So that's why I try to define research. And the next thing we want to know, why do we do research? Why do we undertake research? I gave 3 reasons. One of the major reasons why we carry out research is to solve existing problems. Though we have basic research, but one of the major reasons is to solve existing problems. That is the main reason. The second reason is to contribute to body of knowledge, or that's known as basic or fundamental research. While the third reason is to enhance our CV. And you have types of research. Research could be multidisciplinary, which is what we are encouraging all over the place. where people will come from different background and come with their views and see how we can solve a particular problem. And research could also be either basic or applied research. But what I will always say, people in developing world, in as much I'm not saying that basic research is not good, but the argument is that we have a lot of problems to solve. So, as I was saying, research could be basic or applied. At the time, research could be quantitative or qualitative research. Now, over the years, we claim we have been doing research in our universities. But what we have come to realize that most of the research we have been doing, they didn't, only very limited research got to the commercial stage. As a matter of fact, most of the research we are doing is just for promotion, production, at least production of publication for promotion and career advancement. As a matter of fact, there are few inventions and there are few patents. So when it comes to R&D, vis-a-vis the way we are going about it in our institution, we are not doing well at all. Now, in recent time, what we are promoting is not just doing research for the sake of doing research. Mostly from the beginning of this millennium, what we have been promoting is need-driven research. As I commonly say, you that will win research, you must understand the sustainable development goal. What is the goal of the world? How is your world thinking? And to win a research, you have to align with this goal. Take, for instance, in Nigeria or other African countries, there are obvious problems. There are problems of food insecurity. So one would expect that if you are packing a proposal for grant, you should be able to address the problem of food insecurity, security challenge, poverty, natural disaster, and the economic problem. So there are a number of problems. So one would expect that if you are going to carry out a research, if you want donor bodies to put their money on research, you need to address one of the sustainable development goals. Now, how do you select research topics? Because what most people do, they just go and pick somebody research, adopt it. No. How do you develop research topic? It doesn't have to be a rocket science here. You can develop your research topic based on personal experience. You can also develop your research topic based on evaluating the effectiveness of an intervention. There could be a curiosity outside there. You can develop your research topic around that. Then it could be something around the state of knowledge in the field, solving a problem, or topics under discussion, the issue of personal values like integrity, honesty. You can develop your research topic around that one. Now, what are the criteria for the good research question? A good research question must be feasible. Feasibility. It's not just saying having a good idea. Can you execute the idea? So feasibility comes readily when you're talking of a good research question. Another that comes readily is how interesting is the research question. It must be interesting. There must be the issue of novelty, and there should be ethical issue, and very importantly, it must be relevant. It must be very relevant. Now, having gone through those things, you have been able to develop your idea. The next question you ask yourself is, my idea really good? You may go around, seek people's opinion. Though usually there is this fear that somebody may steal my idea, but the truth is that what is inside you cannot be stolen. So you can seek the opinion of one or two people to see if your idea is really good. Having established that your idea is good or not, the next thing you want to do is that, do I have the competency to carry out this research? This will not determine how you are going to form your research team. Getting people with necessary competency to join you in doing their research. And the next question you will have to ask yourself, will the founders be interested in my research idea? Sometimes you can give them a call. And there's a reason for that. There are some research, probably your research is basic, and the funders are interested in applied research. Or probably the funders, their interest is on earth-related research. Or probably the funder, their interest is climate change, or it could be an environmental issue, it could be agriculture. So you can find out that this is my idea. Would the founders be interested in putting their money into it? Now, key element to successful grant winning. The first thing is that for you to win a grant, you must be able to identify a research problem and should to have an innovative idea on how to solve it. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that is appropriate planning of budget. Some people, yes, they have a good idea, they have a good proposal, but they have horrible budget. Either the thing was over budgeted for or under budgeted for. So those two major components determines if your grant application will be successful or not. Now, what are grants? Grants, they are not loan. They are not loan. It could be fund. It could be a material. Given by organization, it could be government, it could be foundation, it could be given to you to carry out a particular assignment. Now, research. It is not refundable, but it should be accounted for. Get it clear. Nobody's asking you that, okay, we are giving you this money, return the money. In as much that you are not returning the money, you should to account for how you spent the money. And which is one of the major problems we have in grantmanship today. Many people can get the money, but at the end of the day, they could not account for how they spent the money. In grantmanship, you should be able to account for how you spent the money. Why do you need grants? The first reason is professional development. As a researcher, there are some equipment you need for your own personal line of research that may not be available. Through grantmanship, you can get such equipment. And as you know, there are scarcity of funds. Most time, the fund available in your institution may not be able to support the type of research you want. You need grants. The facilities may not be too okay. You need grant to improve the facility. Even the ranking of your universities, your curriculum, to boost your VCT, to your CV, and to respond to some environmental challenges. All those things, that's why we need grants. Now, the real business. How do you package your grant application? Obviously, the first thing we see in your application is your title. And most times, you can win your assessor or lose the grant right from the title. So your title should be descriptive. And it's not that you are creating a sentence. In most cases, I will propose a title of 9 to 15 words. And that title should be able to communicate what you are doing. And another thing I would suggest is that your title should be so short, brief, and catchy that at a first glance, one should be able to get the message. And in most cases, you will win your assessor over right from the type of title you put in there. And another thing I always say here is that you don't have to be too technical, because some grant donors, some grant assessor, some grant donor will tell you that nothing says that somebody in your field must assess your grant proposal application. So in that case, I will suggest that use plain language as much as possible so that mere looking at your grant application, somebody with the title, without going to consult dictionary, browsing online, consulting people, they will get the message of your proposal. Then, yeah, I gave some examples of title, like the first one, production of immobilized industrial amylase from microfungal fermented cassava wastewater. Yes, you don't have to be a scientist to know this thing. One thing that comes out that you are talking of, you are trying to produce something from waste that will be of commercial use. There's another title there, development of sustainable selenium fortification program as direct intervention for the prevention and management of HIV/AIDS in Nigeria. What am I trying to say? Those titles there, though there are some few technical words, but the fact remains that irrespective of the few technical words, the assessor will have an idea of what you are talking about. Like the first one is talking of production of industrial enzyme from cassava waste. The other one is talking of how you can control HIV through dietary means. So, mere looking at the title without going to each of the words, you have an idea of what the title is talking about. So, you should make your title as simple, as short, and as direct as much as possible. Then, the next thing that appears in your proposal, and most times you list it all at this point, is your executive summary. In most grantmanship training I've gone for and I've trained people on, I will always advise them to do that part last. As a matter of fact, your assessor will form his opinion based on your executive summary. He will form his opinion. And if you cannot get your assessor attention at this point, you may lose it all. And when you are writing your executive summary, it's not conclusion. As somebody asked from me, that what's the difference between executive summary and conclusion? They are two different things. Executive summary is like a summary of the entire job. And when you are writing your executive summary, there are major components that must be there. I listed it there, 6 of them. The background of the research, just 1 sentence. The objective of the research, just 1 sentence. The method you want to adopt. Yes, what to expect from the research and the duration of the research and the cost. In fact, I know there are some grant applications. All those 6 points I listed, they may say it may not be more than 300 words. Some will say 250 words. Some will say 400 words, irrespective. All those, and in those few words they requested for, all those things listed there must appear. And that's what determines if that executive summary is good or not. Then the other thing is the general background. You should give us the problem you are addressing and a justifiable reason why that research project must be executed. And in most cases, I will advise you there at this level, you don't just give a floating statement. When you are doing this level, you have to come with data. Say, for instance, your proposal is addressing malaria in Africa, in Nigeria, in this place. You have to come with the statistical data about malaria, or you are talking of HIV. You have to tell us what is the recent status of HIV in Africa, or you are talking of infant mortality. These things should be backed up with empirical statistical data from reliable source. Then the next one is your objective. And let me now make it clear here. Objective is different from methodology. Most time when I say they are writing objective, what they write is methodology. When you talk of objective, you are talking about what do you set to achieve. And your objectives should align with your title. You talk of the general or main objective, and you talk of the specific objective. And I will tell you that your specific objective are derived from the main objective. I gave you an example online. And let me now tell you another thing. It's not just writing objective because we want to win it. Because at the time of monitoring of your grant, monitoring of your execution, one of the things we want to look at is that how feasible, how achievable is your objective. If you cannot, because if it's 5 objectives, we expect that those objectives should be achievable. You don't give an objective that is not achievable. Then this next is the statement of the problem. You tell us this is the problem. These are the various interventions so far. And you tell us the limitations of the various interventions and the new thing you are bringing on board with your research. How you feel that this work, if you give me this fund, this is the new thing this thing is bringing on board. You should have to tell us that. Then there's this other aspect, the conceptual framework of the study. What you can call it, the theoretical framework. We want to look at what is the framework. I gave you an example there on this issue of HIV. We want to see what is the scientific basis, what is the mechanism of action. How is this thing? What is the theoretical? What is the theoretical basis of this action? No, there was a time I went for the very proposal. There's a proposal we wrote. The time we're talking about how to lower cholesterol in boys. I know the question they asked that, how is it going to happen? We know that there's a compound in this thing. This compound will bind with a particular enzyme, and when it inhibit that enzyme in cholesterol homeostasis pathway, once the thing binds to that enzyme, lower cholesterol will be produced. By so doing, it will lower cholesterol production. So there must be a conceptual framework. Then the next thing we want to know, and then let me now also say something here. When you are writing conceptual framework, which are like the biochemists, the mathematics, the people in mathematics, or you will be tempted to make use of formulas, symbols, and all those things. You should try as much as possible, like these 2 figures I show here. This is a plain word. This one shows illustration. To a biochemist, they know what I'm talking about. Your assessor may not be a biochemist. He may not know what you're talking about. So we recommend that you downplay on the use of all those heavy formula, using it that your assessor may not know. Use plain. What we are talking about in writing this, your theoretical basis, though you want to talk of mathematical expression, all those things, physical, all those people in physics, all those people in this thing, in as much you want to use your technical terms, make it as plain as possible so that your reader can understand it. Then the next is literature review. This is one area we don't take serious. We just feel that we can just say anything, we can just write anything on and just go to online and download anything and just say anything. No. In this area aspect, now it is easier. You can use your Google Scholar. You can go to your Google Scholar. You can ask, give us recent literature, recent thing, updated thing in this field. I know I missed 2 grants in the past based on literature review where the assessor said I didn't exhaust enough literature. So literature review is very, very important. Then the next thing, what are your goals? When we give you this fund, what are the likely things that will come out? We have the short-term goal. We have the long-term goal. The short-term goal is the immediate benefit from your work. Then the short-term goal is the immediate findings from your work, while the long-term is the impact, long-term impact. Then there's this other one, the long-term effect on your work. Then there's the impact of the project. This one goes beyond your work. In this aspect, the project impact, if you give you this fund, what will be the social impact? If you give you this fund, will your finding leads to creation of solving some social problems? Will it create more jobs? Will it have economic benefit? Now that we are giving you this fund to develop this idea, develop this technology. What is the technological benefit? You should to tell us that if you give me this fund to do this job, it will create more job. It will solve the problem of unrest. It will, at least one want to know, now that you are giving this fund to do this job, how will this fund, at the end of your project, what will be the likely impact of this, your project? And the next is your research methodology. Usually people write it anyhow, but normally I encourage that you should lay it out so that it can easily be followed. You can face out the job. You can, under the various phases, you can define the various activity, and under the various activity, like this one now, I said this project to be carried out in 7 interrelated job, the phases. I said in phase 1, under phase 1, I have 2 main activities. Activity, I spoke about the study location, activity 2. Then phase 3 now, phase 2 now, that I want to do this. Under this phase, lay it out. And under it, okay, under activity 3, you now describe how you are going to do it. And mind you, because as a scientist, if you're a scientist, you may want to request for equipment. At this level, you mention that equipment. Because it's not that equipment that you did not mention during your methodology, you are now requesting for it under your budget. Whereas when they are going through your methodology, you didn't indicate it at any point that you will need that equipment. So you have to indicate the equipment and put appropriate reference of the various methodology you are using. Then the next thing is activities and output. Yes, you want to find out each of the activities you have laid out. There should be an indicator to show that you have achieved it. If you are, let's say under phase 1 of your job, you have activity 1. On that activity 1 that say you are doing, there should be indicators that will show you have achieved that activity. So, and that will go for all the phases and all the activity you have laid out. Then another thing is time frame. You have to give, though usually I recommend Gantt chart, and I've showed you a typical Gantt chart there, that each study, each activity, you have the Gantt chart there, the year, the duration, and you have the layout. So that this will show how the job will flow. Usually, I will recommend the use of Gantt chart. Then the next thing is, how do you carry out a statistical analysis? I gave you the various one. Like in this study, we are going to mix analysis of variance, mean separation. Though usually what I will recommend that at the point of designing your project, it's always good that you involve the service of a statistician so that they will suggest the appropriate statistical model and the appropriate software you are going to use. Then the ethical issue comes up. You have to state it, that if you are going to obtain ethical approval from either from your university ethical committee or from the Ministry of Health, depending on the type of project. And the next thing you want to know that if we give you this job, how do you monitor and evaluate this thing? How are we sure? Which mechanism are you going to put in place to carry out this job? You should tell us that, like here I said, if you in this job we will involve the procurement officer, project accountant, there are indicators that will show that, and we are going to have project meeting that this thing we are going to do. Then, now that we have given you this money, how are you going to communicate your research to the whole world? You should to tell us that one of the things I'm going to do, if you give me this fund, is that yes, I will publish some of the findings in High Impact Journal. I will organize conferences. I will attend conferences. If possible, I will involve the social media, television, and radio in publicizing the outcome of my research. And the next thing is budgeting. I told you, is very critical. In some grant applications, they make it open. Some will specify. They will tell you the percentage for personnel, the percentage for equipment, the percentage for consumables. One thing you do, you have to stick to their requirements. If they say 20%, don't go out of it. They may use it against you. And if they say the total budget, the total money we can give is 50 million, don't go beyond 50 million. Then, why do we have budgets? Most of the budget. Number one, it gives you detail of the costing. It helps you in planning. It helps in the effective management of your grant. It helps in resource allocation, and it helps in accountability. Then there's a comment here, because many a time we don't take budget serious. Budget preparation is as important as preparing your grant application. Then team member, this is very important. Constituting your team is not issue of patronage. Let me put all my friends there. No. Each member of the team must have a definite role to play. So you should specify what that fellow, what he will be doing in that thing. And when you are setting up your team, it shouldn't be a team of all professors. Yes, it's good to have our professors there. At the same time, you have the middle cadre academics and you have the lower cadre academics. So we expect that you should spread your team from the high-ranking professor to the least cadre academics. Is always good. Same time, it's not that you have a too big team that you cannot manage. The team should be sizable. And at the same time, geographical consideration also comes in. If you are doing a job, for instance, I'm carrying out a project in Sub-Saharan Africa, and now all the team are in Nigeria, that is not a too good proposal. It is expected that if you are carrying up a project that covers Sub-Saharan Africa, you should to get a collaborator from other countries like Ghana, like Burkina Faso, like Côte d'Ivoire, like Senegal. So you should to have people from other parts of the Sub-Saharan Africa. So then, above all, gender balance. It's not a team of all men. It's not a team of all women. So you should to balance gender as well. So, and mind you, any member of the team should have a particular role to play. Then now general tips. The first one, format. Before you apply, study their format. Whatever they say they want, but that is one thing that makes you to lose grant easily. Format. If they say 250 words, 250 words. If they say use font 12, use font 12. If they say times, Romance Times News or whichever one, use that one. If whatever format, in fact, that one is the first thing they consider. Do you follow the format or not? If you do follow the format, you throw it away. Then your proposal should be focused. I've spoken a lot on budget. Then sometimes when you are doing this thing, you can be frustrated. Just take time off. You can come back later. Then make use of graphic as much as possible. Make use of map. Make use of pictures. Make use of graphs, bar chart. They communicate message easily. Then submission deadline. I will advise, don't always wait till the last day. If possible, I've solved it on 2 grant applications. You know, there was one, I submitted the thing the last day. Unfortunately, when we were loading the application, we didn't load the budget justification. And the donor body, they wrote me, I didn't check my mail until the following day. When I got the mail, I wrote them, they said, no, I cannot submit. The other case is that I submitted the application much more earlier, 4 days, and I had a similar problem. They just opened the portal for me that since it's not a deadline, you can still resubmit. Like in Nigeria, some of those things I know, most of the time, I don't have to start mentioning a donor body, that most of the time in the last day, since people want to submit, there's very likely that their site will crash. So Usually, I will advise that you avoid the deadline. Then another thing is that make sure your application is simple, short, and direct. And it should be user-friendly. It should not be frustrating. And if you know your English is not that good, you can, after writing the whole thing, you can get somebody to help you fine-tune the thing. All those syntax error, grammatical error, structural error, they can help you to reformat it. Then now you have written, you have submitted. Yeah, there are only two possible outcomes, and to every grant man, it's a common thing. It's a common thing. Those are the two possible outcomes. You either jubilate or frown, and those are common results. I've had both. Many of both, not just one, many of both. But whichever way, when you have this one, where it's called that most time, people whose grants were rejected will not talk. It's those people that celebrate. And I told you, it's a common thing that you experience in the palace of grantmanship. What happens if your application is rejected? What do you do? Once your application is rejected, just relax. Go through the reason, and you can repackage it for the submission. In fact, from my experience, most people that won one grant or the other, usually that application is not the first time that they are submitting it. Yes, some people can win on first trial, but many people, it's not their first trial. So, the popular language in grantmanship palace is winners don't quit, quitters don't win. So the fact that your grant application is rejected does not mean you cannot win again. Then why are proposals rejected? Why proposals are rejected? Number one, if you are not adding, they look at the research, there's nothing new, the thing looks so ordinary, there's no novelty. If your research is not focused, it's neither here nor there. If there's no originality in your idea, if your objectives are poorly stated, and if your executive summary is poorly written, your proposal may be rejected on that ground. Apart from that, if what you are addressing, take for instance, you are writing a proposal in Nigeria, we know our challenge, problem of hunger, things are expensive in market, problem of insecurity, and now you are not telling us that I have an idea. I want to write a proposal on how I can develop atomic bomb from renewable biomass. Nobody will give you that grant. That will tell you that is that the issue now. If your budget is outrageous, and if your proposal is localized, if it's not of national interest, or if the idea is too shallow, or if the methodology cannot address the research goal, proposal can be rejected on that ground. Another thing, if your institution does not have sufficient capacity to support the job, and if the PI is not qualified enough to lead that project, that grant can be rejected on that ground. Now, those are some awarding bodies, international, you talk of Academy of Science or Developing World, they advertise for grants, always. Swedish National Development Agency, SIDA, they advertise for grant. Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, they give grant. African Academy of Science, they also give grant. Chinese Academy of Science, they give grant. IFS, National Foundation of Science, they give grant. DFID, ICGB, IDRC, European Union, they give grant. Locally, like in Nigeria, you can talk of TEDFund grant, you have Student Research grant, and many parastatals, they give one grant or the other. Now, by way of conclusion, I will say this. In grantmanship, research grants are won not just by the best, but by the best of the best proposal. So what? You try your best to be among the best of the best proposals. Recommendation. The failing doesn't mean you are not good enough. It's just an indication that you need to do more work, more to get it better. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Ganiu Obo, for sharing your wealth of experience in grant writing. You will agree with me that the tips he has shared are invaluable towards successful grantsmanship. And he talked about various experiences that he has. So without wasting any time, we will be moving to the question and answer session. Firstly, we will take persons who want to ask questions orally. So kindly indicate your raise of hands electronically using the raise of hand icon, and you will be asked to unmute to ask your question. So we'll take the first set of persons that want to ask a question. We'll take 5, then later proceed to ask Professor Obo to answer the first 5, then later proceed to the next 5. Then later we'll take questions that are in the chat box. So if you have any question, can you indicate by raising your hands electronically? Okay, while we wait for persons to indicate, we already have some questions in the chat box. Maybe we start with that. We have Stephen from Kenya, Nairobi, is asking, sometimes the funders ask for indicators of sustainability in a project. How can you amplify this? Professor Obo, do you want to answer this? Or I should read the next one?
You can read the next one, please.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is, what are the good practices for finding the funders for a good proposal? Then we also have the third question, how can I avoid redundancy when writing the general background, problem statement, and literature review sections? So, sir, you can answer these 3 questions. Please feel free, if you have questions, indicate by the raise of hand icon, and you'll be asked to unmute. So over to you, Professor Obo, for the first 3 questions.
Okay. Actually, for a good proposal, there should be a sustainability plan. There should be a sustainability plan. Because nobody will want to put his fund, and after the fund has probably have exhausted the fund, how do you continue the job? It's a very good question, and for a good research proposal, you should be able to put in place that, okay, after we have exhausted this fund, those are the plans we have in place to sustain this project. And these are the things I know, most World Bank projects or World Bank grants or EU grants, they will ask for that because the fund will not be there forever. But once the fund finishes, what are your plans? And it's a major thing they look out for in awarding grants, because nobody will want a student that will give you grant to do the work, and after the grant finishes, that ends the job. So she would tell us that once we are done with the grant, these are the plans we put in place. It's a good question, and I think for a good proposal, though some all those localized grants, some will not ask, but most of those big grants, like EU grant, like World Bank, okay, they will ask for your plans on that, okay, after this project, probably the project is for 5 years, after 5 years, what are the plans you have in place for this project to continue? So it's a good question. It's a good question. Then the fellow that I was talking about good practices, I don't know. I want to really know what does it mean by good practices? I don't know. Probably I didn't get the question very well.
The question was asked by Osman A.G. Dala. Please, do you want to clarify orally? Please, can you just unmute your microphone and...
Okay, I've seen the question. What are the good practices for finding funders for your group proposal? Normally, what I would suggest is that, though I didn't emphasize it, sometimes you can give a call to the funding body. You can interact with them on phone. You can send them email that I have this idea, I want to do this, I want to apply to your body, like Brigade Foundation. I think there are room for interaction where you can send some message to them and they will respond. And I think I will even encourage that if you can even make a call, right there they will tell you, we can fund this type of project, we cannot fund this type of project. And some may even suggest a body that can fund it better. Some may suggest to you. So what I would suggest is that once you have your idea and you feel this idea is good, that it can be funded, you can interact with the funding agent. And they will even tell you, yes, though we can fund this thing, but you can, but in our foundation, this is our emphasis. If you can refocus your proposal in line with our foundation's emphasis, we can fund it. Otherwise, you can try another body, and they can even suggest another body to you. Like NIH now, you cannot be having a good idea in agriculture and say you are going to NIH. NIH is funding purely health issue. Are you okay? So you can interact with them. Like IFS fund applied research. So if you have idea on basic research, they will tell you that we only fund applied research. But like TWAS fund basic research. Are you okay? So you can interact with those bodies. Are you okay? Are you okay? Can I go to the third question?
Yes, you can, sir. The third question is asked by Christian. He say, how can I avoid redundancy when writing the general background, problem statement, and literature review sections?
Sincerely, I don't really know what to mean by redundancy. But what I would suggest is that, usually when you are writing your literature review or background, you should not be frivolous. You should be very focused. This is not the time you'll be playing around with words. It should be as direct as possible. That usually under the general background, because those are things that come up early. And if you are just writing, you are neither here nor there, just writing stories. And I guess that's what you mean by redundancy anyway. Go straight to the point. If you are addressing malaria, come back with your malaria. What are you addressing in malaria? Is it the diagnostic problem? Is it the problem of the drug? Is it this? No, just go straight to it and let. In grantmanship, there's no room because some people say that I wrote a proposal of about 500 pages. Who's going to read it? And look at the whole thing, they are hiding ways. Go straight and be. It's one of the things I gave under the tips. Simple and focus. Simple and focus. Don't play around with words and use plain words. I think with that, I've been able to address your concern.
We have Nick Asari asking, thanks for your insightful presentation. You did indicate that sometimes we write objective as if we are writing methodology. Kindly give examples of that. Is there anyone who wants to share examples while we wait for Professor Obo to join?
I'm back.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. So we have some questions in the chat box. We have Nick Asari is asking, you did indicate that sometimes we write objective as if we write methodology. That can you give examples of that?
Okay, let me just give an example. Say, for instance, you develop a beverage or a pharmaceutical product. Probably your first objective is to develop the thing, and the second objective to assess the safety. Okay. Say, for instance, you can say, I want one objective of these things to determine how safe is this product. Have you? It's an objective. Somebody can say that I want to determine the liver function, the kidney function. Those are methodology. Those are some of the things you are going to do to assess how safe. So your objective is to know, is the thing safe? Your methodology is that, how do I know if this thing is safe? I'm going to do acute toxicity study, subchronic, chronic. In that one, I will look at how does the thing affect kidney, how does it affect liver. Those are all methodologies. Are you okay? But the objective is, how safe is this thing? Are you okay? But when directing their objective, they'll be saying that I want to look at the effect on kidney, the effect on liver, the effect. These are methodology. Using this method, these are methodologies. Are you okay? The methodology is to address one thing, which is what you set to achieve. Is this thing safe? Are you okay? Then those are the things you are going to use to know if it is safe. Are you okay? So it's a common mistake where people use objective, use methodology as objective. That's why I try to describe that. Objective is what you set to achieve. Methodology is how you want to achieve it. So it's kind of when you're now writing your methodology, you now write a methodology based on each of the objective. Like objective 1, I want to achieve this. This is what and what I want to do to achieve this. Objective 2, this is what and what I want to do to achieve this. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. We also have Dugbe Semanu asking, can we have any idea on how to continue after the funding period? Anecdotes from your personal experience.
Yes. Say, for instance, which that is to address the sustainability plan. One of the things is, yes, you could have a plan in place to get additional funds. A plan in place to commercialize some of the findings. A plan in place that some of the equipment acquired during the so those are some of the things that, okay, we have funded you. After this thing, we have already packaged another proposal to get additional fund. Then some of the findings from this thing, we are already collaborating with certain industry on how to commercialize, because the idea is that you should be able to put, that's why I'm giving you some specific example now. Are you okay? That after this project, with this and this, we should be able to continue this job. It's most big international grant, there must be a definite statement on that. What are your sustainability plans? It's a major requirement, because nobody wants to give you a fund that after the 5 years lapse of the project, the thing has ended. That now that the fund has ended, what do you have in place to sustain the work? It's a valid thing. And so as a grantee, you should be able to have an idea of what and what to do to sustain that work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Obo. We also have Lanre Fashakin is asking, how do you assure the funders of integrity of your data? See, when they raise concerns about quality control, are there ways to address this concern?
While I was talking, I spoke about the issue of evaluation and monitoring, because that's some of the things they want to know that, okay, we'll give you this fund. How are we sure you are going to do this thing? I know one of the things I put there is constant group meeting. where you and your group will sit down always, re-evaluate, assess what you have gotten. Are you doing the right thing? So it's one of the quality assurance mechanism. So I wrote it there. If I even give examples of what you can do, both in the area of fund, how to know that the fund was well used, then, and I know in many palaces or abroad, there's this constant group meeting. You come out, this is the result, and you look at it. It's not okay. Then you go back. You revalidate. So it's a thing normally a very good group should do. It's not that you just be working alone. No. It should be a teamwork where one of the good things is that you must have a constant group meeting to assess how the project is going. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Prof. We have another question here. How can we have access to a detailed template for research grant application?
Actually, each organization has its own template. What I gave is a general overview. Though they have some things in common, those that they have in common, that's what I gave. Each team, each granting body has their own pattern. Some may just say, send us a 4-page concept note, like Welcome Trust. They will not ask for application directly. They will ask for concept note. Then, the successful concept note, they will not say, go and develop a full proposal. So, it varies from one donor to the other. Some will just give you, in fact, some you may not even go that detail. So it varies from, that's why sometimes when you are now navigating online, see each donor body, what I've given is the general thing. Because all of them, something is common. They will ask for your title. There will be the objective. There will be background. There will be methodology. There will be expected output or impact. There will be budget. There will be literature review. Those are common to all. But the emphasis now varies from one donor body to the other. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Prof. Babisola Akinola is asking, can a team of researchers be from different institutions? Then must the researchers be from the academia?
Let me just start from the real. Nothing says they must be in the academic. Like, hey, I've won some grants. Some of my collaborators are from Research Institute. Like in Nigeria, I have collaborators from FIRO, I have from NASDA, you know. So it doesn't have to be from academia. Then number two, nothing says, in fact, most grant body will want spread. I said, say for instance, you are doing a work that covers South Africa, and you are not, all your team members, they are from the institution. That's not a good one. Or even if you are covering Nigeria, you are like the Selenium thing. You have to get people from various parts of the country. So nothing says, except if it's a localized grant from your institution. But if it's the international one, national one, you have to attract, you have to get other members from other places. I think that's the way to do.
Thank you very much, Prof. Maybe finally, what role does networking and collaboration play in strengthening grant application?
So we're just going to take a photo of our participants. We are all grateful for your joining us. So just put on your video and just give me a smile, and then we will take the photo.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Grace, for the session evaluation.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Akinwumi. Thank you so much, everyone. I know you've all enjoyed the session based on the questions and that you've asked. It's very important that we hear your feedback so that we can improve on subsequent sessions. So I'm putting the evaluation link in the chat. Please take a few minutes to fill it. Dr. Akinwumi, maybe as they fill it, you can invite Dr. Abiodun to share the next session. So please take some
Okay.
time to fill it. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Akinwumi. I want to again appreciate our facilitator for today for doing a great job. Thank you so much for showing us those tips on grant writing and how to navigate grant proposal writing and all of that. We deeply appreciate you for those insightful presentations, those stimulating comments that you made. And I'm sure a lot of us have one or two takeaways here today. But also know that as a way of just mentioning one or two things that he has taught us today, that he has taught us on having a brilliant ideas, that once your idea is inside, it cannot be stolen. So idea is the key. You have an idea, now put those bright ideas into papers and begin to win your grants. And that you must embrace multidisciplinary approach, which is also very key. And one key factor that I want us to understand here, that as in your journey towards your grantmanship, you must equally embrace the virtue of integrity. No one will want to give you money. Even if they have awarded such money, it can be withdrawn because there are consents that have been signed earlier on how to, go ahead with the spendings, and you are to account for each of those trouble. Yes, it's a grant, but you are equally accountable. And thank you so much, sir, for giving us those tips. And I'm sure a number of us here will also want to have you. I'm sure some of our students are, here within the network, within the region, will also want to have you as their mentors later on. So please just feel free to take that when the call comes. Let me also mention here that Professor Obo mentioned, that we have also have the same trajectory. Supervisors, we have the same supervisor, and no wonder he's equally shining. And I'm happy that he has imbibed that spirit and he's still taking the bull by the horn in terms of his research achievement. And we are very proud of what he's doing. Thank you so much. But having said that, I'd like to equally mention to us that we will be having the next session come August 13 within this Education Collaborative Network, particularly the West African Hub, where Covenant University is championing and coordinating. And in this edition, we're going to be having Dr. Don Naga, who will be sharing with us on proposal writing or proposal writer, development and fundraising, financial governance and revenue. And that's her role. That's her role in the University of Johannesburg. She is a proposal writer, and she is in charge of development and fundraising and financial governance and revenue. She will be taking us on budgeting essentials for grant proposals, creating realistic and impactful budget plans. And the focus, again, will be on finance. How do you budget? She will be telling us on whether to over budget or whether to under budget. But the good thing about it is that we have been taught today that if you have been told that the budget is, say, 50 million Nigerian naira or 250,000 USD, you must stick to that budget. But she will be doing justice to that, having been a proposal writer and manages the finance and governance of the University of Johannesburg. She'll be sharing her wealth of experience with us, and particularly which will cover budgetary consideration and cost justification and resource application and allocation strategies in her presentation. So hope every one of us will be able to join us again and learn some of these tips that will equally help us. But after this session, we're going to be working on how to bring some of the best persons around within the region, and will be housed here at Covenant University for the actual process of writing and winning these grants. And so we will be having an in-house, tips, in-house training on how this will come up. So this will come immediately after the last, that is the fourth webinar series to be delivered by Dr. Dawn Naga. Again, on behalf of the Covenant University community, the management, the staff, and the faculty, and of course, the Education Collaborative, the West African Hub, I'd like to say thank you so much. And thank you so much for MasterCard. Thank you so much for Education Collaborative. And thank you so much for Ashesi University for this partnership. It's indeed a worthy partnership. It's indeed a great one that we are not taking for granted. Thank you so much, and hope to see you in the next edition. Thanks, and God bless.
Thank you so much, the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University. And that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you. And bye, everyone.